Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline for Pixie Dust PhD. First, let me say a big thank you to all of the returning viewers and subscribers. I really appreciate your support on the channel. And if you're new here and you enjoy this, I hope you stick around and subscribe. We've talked a lot about Disney Vacation Club on this channel, including choosing your home resort. That, of course, is a super personal decision. And I would suggest, if possible, that you check out those resorts in person before making your decision. There are, of course, though, a lot of home resorts to choose from. So we'll be doing a Fast Facts series on this channel, going over the basic need-to-know information about the Disney Vacation Club resorts located at Walt Disney World. With this basic information, hopefully it will help you narrow down those vast choices. And in today's video, we're going to start with the original Disney Vacation Club resort, Old Key West. Old Key West is a standalone Disney Vacation Club resort, meaning it's not attached to a deluxe hotel. All of the rooms at Old Key West are for Disney Vacation Club. Old Key West opened in 1991, but has since gone through multiple renovations, with the most recent, I believe, being in 2019. As the name implies, this property is themed to the Florida Keys, so the general ambiance is very beachy. There is a lot of natural light and some really gorgeous architecture, as well as pastel colors throughout the resort. How you feel about resort themes is, of course, super personal. I generally don't put a ton of weight into that personally, but you may care a lot. Overall, I would say Old Key West has just a super relaxed vibe. One of the most important factors, in my opinion, when comparing different home resorts is, of course, the cost. In 2020, Old Key West sells directly from Disney for $156 per point. Resale contracts, of course, will vary, but they can typically be found for around $100 a point. The number of points required to book any given villa is also relatively on the low end when you compare this to other home resorts. So between the relatively low initial purchase price as well as the lower amount of points you need to actually stay at Old Key West can really be considered a bargain in terms of cost. Of note, particularly if you're looking at the resale market, the Old Key West contracts can actually have two different expiration dates. The first expiration date is 2042, and the second is not until 2057. And generally speaking, on the resale market, it's pretty hard to find a 2057 expiration date contract. The reason there are two different expiration dates is because this was the very first DVC resort. So in 2007, Disney Vacation Club actually offered the current owners to extend their contract to 2057. This did, of course, come at an additional cost, and some owners took advantage of that while others did not. The total inventory of rooms at Old Key West is on the larger side, ranging from 531 to 761 rooms. In general, there is always competition to book DVC rooms, but because this resort is on the larger side, you will largely have an easier time and it will be less of a hassle for you to get that villa that you want. Grand villas at Old Key West do tend to be an exception to that, particularly if you don't have that 11-month home resort booking window. This is simply because there are only 27 grand villas on the Old Key West property. So if you have your eyes set on staying at a grand villa at Old Key West for your family vacations, you may want to consider this as your home resort to get that 11-month priority booking window. Room size is also a big plus at Old Key West. Being the first Disney Vacation Club resort and it's not tucked away into an already existing deluxe property, they really did not skimp on the room sizes. Some DVC home resorts, particularly in the studio size and a little bit in the one-bedroom size, can feel a little cramped. In my opinion, the Old Key West villas really don't suffer from that cramped feeling. Additionally, if you're trying to comfortably fit more than 2 adults in a studio, Old Key West may be a great option for you. Studios at Old Key West come with 2 queen beds standard. This is pretty unusual, as studios mostly come with 1 queen bed and then 1 pull-out couch. So depending on your travel party, these studios may fit your needs very well. The property overall at Old Key West is really big. I believe there are 49 3-story buildings that house all of the various villas. There is an internal bus system if you don't want to walk all the way around the resort, but you do want to explore all of the offerings. Other than the internal bus, buses in general are going to be your main mode of transportation at Old Key West. You will be taking buses to and from the theme parks. And like many large resorts, the buses going to and from the theme parks will make multiple stops within Old Key West. There is boat transportation to Disney Springs, and some buildings are actually close enough to walk if you want. Specifically, the walkway to Disney Springs is near Building 55, so if you want to walk to Disney Springs, be sure to put in a room request for that building. Note that this proximity to Disney Springs does of course mean that Old Key West is not located right next to a theme park like many of the other DVC properties. That being said, being by Disney Springs isn't too bad. It's a relatively central location. While you won't be able to walk to any of the theme parks, you're not so far away from any of them either. The other thing to note about the large size of the property is that because it is so big, depending on where your room is, you may be located far away from central amenities. If desired, you can choose to book a preferred room to be much closer to these amenities, like the main swimming pool and shopping options. To avoid many of the downfalls of the large resort size, you may choose to bring your own car or bring a rental car. For now, if you book on points, you won't pay to park overnight, which is great. Another big plus about Old Key West is that generally you can park very close to your room. As I mentioned previously, buildings for the most part are 3 stories tall. However, only buildings 62, 63, and 64 have elevators. These buildings are all in the Millers Road section. If accessibility is an issue for you, you may not want to stay at Old Key West. At the very least, you'll probably want to request a first floor room so you won't have to deal with the stairs. And even if you're fully able-bodied, climbing those stairs day after day, especially coming back from a long, hot, sweaty day at the theme parks, can really be tolling. The lack of elevators is definitely something to consider when thinking about your home resort or even just your room requests. Another small downside is that being by Disney Springs also means that you're by some major roads. Parts of Old Key West are very close to Buena Vista Drive and Bonnet Creek Parkway. If you're staying in a room that's very close to one of these roads, well, these are somewhat busy highways and you may experience some traffic noise. The main pool at Old Key West, aptly named the Sandcastle Pool, has a centerpiece that is a giant sandcastle. The sandcastle contains a 125-foot long water slide and you actually pop out through a not-so-hidden Mickey. There are also 3 other leisure pools located across the resort, and all of these pool areas do include a whirlpool. A big bonus for many families about Old Key West is that Old Key West honestly has so many activities, you will never be bored. Old Key West offers a playground, basketball courts, bike rentals, a jogging path, shuffleboard, tennis courts, a volleyball court, an arcade, a place to barbecue, of course the fitness center, and even more. There's just so much going on at Old Key West if you don't want to go to the parks for a day or two. But even with all these offerings, note that there is no full on-site spa and there is no golf course. The table service restaurant at Old Key West is called Olivia's. This restaurant serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner and has relatively famous fried chicken that's apparently very good. There's also Turtle Shack Poolside Snacks, which is quick service located near the pool. This is open seasonally. And then there's Goods Foods to Go, which is a grab-and-go quick service. Goods Food to Go is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but note that it is not located fully inside. The lounge at Old Key West is called Gurgling Suitcase Libations and Spirits. This lounge is open for lunch, dinner, and late night. And of course, you have the option of pizza room service delivery if you really want. Note that there are no character meals located at Old Key West if that's something you value. Not to diss any of the food options available at Old Key West, but honestly, being that close to Disney Springs, you have so many amazing options right there at the Springs. So I personally don't put a ton of weight on the quality of food offered at Old Key West because you're located so close to so many amazing options. There's your fast facts about Old Key West. Is this a home resort that you're interested in? If you found this helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell icon for notifications for whenever I post new videos. And if you want to chat about anything related to Disney or DVC, you can leave a comment below or find me on Instagram and Twitter at PixieDustPhD. What are your biggest pros and cons of Old Key West? In my opinion, the value is so high at Old Key West when you consider the cost to buy in and also the amount of points you need to book. It certainly makes Old Key West very tempting for a home resort. I hope the rest of your day is super magical and we'll see you next time at PixieDustPhD.